Welcome to our Tiger Turf installation. The first step in the process is demolition. This involves the removal of any existing materials, whether it be sod, weeds, or any other substance above ground. By rough grading the area and uncovering everything underneath, including irrigation, pipes, electrical wiring, etc., we can get a solid subgrade for our project. In this phase, we also cap existing sprinklers that will not be used. It's very important to cap sprinklers at the pipe level as opposed to the top of the riser. This avoids any leakage that may occur between the two. If necessary, relocate sprinklers, modify existing irrigation lines, and add any required drainage. Be sure to backfill and tamp the location of any unused sprinklers to avoid depressions or low spots. When uncovering any underground wiring, electrical, speakers, etc., move it inward and away from the hardscape or perimeter by 6 to 8 inches. This should prevent any accidental damage when it comes time to secure the turf edge with nails. Once moved, lay all wiring on top of the subgrade surface and secure it with U-nails. The installation of the bender board is an important step as it provides for a clean line and separation between the planter bed and turf areas. The next phase is to install the aggregate base material. This is a special mixture of gravel and sand which allows for proper drainage. For a non-pet landscape installation, the base material should be installed to a depth of 3 inches. Proper base distribution and leveling is important in order to account for sloping away from the living areas and towards the installed drainage system. Proper base distribution also ensures the turf will have a smooth, level appearance upon completion of the project. Next, we wet the existing base to allow for proper settling. Compaction is accomplished by vibrating, tamping, and rolling the gravel aggregate. This establishes a good solid base in which to drive the nails when installing the turf. Any additional leveling or final grading can be done at this time. We begin by rolling out the weed cloth. This barrier helps prevent any growth from coming up through the base and into the turf. Be sure to overlap weed cloth edges by 6 inches and secure with as many flathead nails as necessary to prevent movement or wrinkling of the cloth when laying the turf. Trim the cloth to fit the landscape area, leaving about a 1/4 inch gap along the hardscape or border areas. This will allow for an easier tucking effort later on. Remember, don't drive the nails too deeply into the ground as it will cause the weed cloth to be pulled down, creating dimples on the surface once the turf is installed. When laying the turf, it's beneficial to find either a straight edge or 2 perpendicular edges for alignment. Square off the turf along your chosen location in order to minimize cutting and fitting on all 4 sides. Once the turf is square, secure the squared edges with temporary nails to hold it in place while cutting the opposite edges. When trimming the turf to fit the area properly, you should overcut the turf by an 1/8 inch along the edges. This provides the excess turf necessary for tucking. When in doubt, cut the turf fat. It can always be trimmed later on. Install nails along the turf edge by placing them 6 inches apart and driving them down 3/4 of the way. Nails used in the field should be applied as necessary to prevent movement of the turf. As before, drive the nails down 3/4 of the way. When finishing the nails, separate the grass to avoid pulling the blades down along with the nail. The nail is then hidden within the grass blades at the base of the mat. Don't drive the nails too deeply into the ground, as it will cause the turf to be pulled down, creating dimples on the surface. During the seaming process, 6-inch U-nails are used to join the turf together. The two pieces are butted up against each other with U-nails spaced 6 inches apart and driven 3/4 of the way down. The finishing process for the U-nails is the same as before. Separate the grass to avoid pulling the blades down along with the U-nail. The U-nail is then driven to the same level as the mat and hidden within the grass blades. Tucking the turf involves hiding the edges of the turf against any hardscape or edging border by using a metal bar called a Wonder Bar. This hides the edges of the turf, giving it a good, clean, flush look. In this phase, a power brush is used. The heavy bristled brush is pulled against the grain of the grass, causing it to stand up in preparation for applying the Durafill sand. Next, apply the infill or Durafill sand. The Durafill sand is antibacterial and is not harmful to pets or children. Spread the granules evenly throughout the turf installation. This acts as a ballast to hold the blades upright and gives the turf more weight. The final grooming step involves power brushing the turf once again lightly to force the Durafill granules into the base of the turf for settling and optimal stability. Follow up the brushing by using a plastic leaf rake to remove any excess debris and give the turf a finished look. Now it's time to bring out the family and start enjoying your newly installed Tiger Turf for many years to come.